This is a story called The Murderer. Louisa is a young woman who has just turned 23 years old. One night she goes on a night out with some friends and she gets chatting to a guy named Graham who is 6 years older than her. They swap mobile numbers and arrange to meet up for a date a few nights later. Louisa tells her parents that she's going on a date and they're really happy for her. After they'd been seeing each other for 6 months, they introduced each other to their parents. Louisa's parents knew that there was something not quite right about Graham, but they kept it to themselves. After the couple had been together for a year, they announced that they were getting married. They got married about 8 months later, and after they'd been married for 18 months, Louisa gave birth to their first baby, Natasha Louisa. Then, when Natasha was just over 2 years old, the twins Sarah and Joanne came along. However, Louisa's parents still felt that there was something not quite right about Graham. What they didn't know was that Graham had been beating Louisa since just after Natasha was born. He never hit her where the bruises would show, so no one would suspect anything. Then one day they invited some of their friends round for a barbecue, and one of Louisa's friends noticed that she had bruises on her body. She pulled her aside and said, "Louisa, how did you get those bruises?" "Oh, I'm always banging into things and hurting myself." "Louisa, you're never clumsy. Besides, they're not the kind of bruises you get from being clumsy." Then Graham came over and said, "Is everything okay over here?" "Yeah, me and Mary were talking about the girls and how they're doing in school." Mary walked away and she secretly spoke to one of their other friends, Natalie, and told her about the bruises on Louisa's body. Natalie didn't say anything to Louisa until the following day at work, when she saw the bruises for herself. She asked Louisa, "Louisa, how did you get those bruises?" "I slipped and fell on the stairs when I went to check on the girls." "Oh, really? It's just you told Mary that you keep bumping into things. What's going on, Louisa? Who did this to you?" "I told you I tripped on the stairs and I keep bumping into things." Natalie decided to leave things there for now. However, a few days later, Louisa turned up at work looking upset and she seemed unwell. Natalie went up to her and asked her, "Louisa, are you okay? I see you've got more bruises. How did that happen?" "I'm okay. I tripped and fell again." "Louisa, is it Graham who did that to you? Louisa, is it Graham who's doing this to you?" Louisa broke down and cried and said, "Yeah, he's having an affair, and when I threatened to leave with the girls, he said he'd kill me and the girls if I ever tried to leave him." "Oh my God, Louisa, you have to leave him and go to the police." "I can't. He said if I went to the police, they wouldn't believe me. I'm not sleeping at night. I'm suffering with anxiety and depression and I'm taking medication." "Oh my God, Louisa, you have to get yourself and the girls away from him. What time does he get home from work?" "He gets home at 6 p.m. and he expects his tea on the table as soon as he gets in." "Right, pack as much of yours and the girls' stuff as you can and I'll pick you up at 5 p.m. Louisa went home and started packing, unaware that Graham and the girls were already home. Graham saw her packing and decided to cook her tea. As he was putting out Louisa's food, he crushed up some of her sleeping pills and antidepressants and put some in her food. That night, after the girls had gone to bed, he beat her worse than he'd ever beaten her. When he finished, he pretended that nothing had happened and gave her a glass of wine. However, the wine was laced with sleeping pills and antidepressants. Louisa drank her wine, and after a while she suddenly felt really tired and unwell, and she took herself off to bed where she fell unconscious. Graham wanted to make sure that she was gone, so he put a pillow over her face. Then he scattered her sleeping pills, antidepressants and anxiety meds around her and made it look like she'd taken her own life. Excuse me. He then phoned an ambulance and got his parents to come and collect the kids. By the time the paramedics got there, she was already dead. She was taken away and her family were informed, and they told her friends. Mary and Natalie went to see Louisa's parents and told them everything that Louisa told them. However, when Louisa's parents told the police what Graham had done to their daughter, they agreed to look into it. However, there was no proof to say that Graham had done what they were saying he'd done. The hospital told the police that there was no evidence of foul play. Louisa's body was released and her funeral went ahead. However, Louisa's family and friends kept at the police to arrest Graham, but they said they couldn't because they had no evidence against him. About 6 weeks after the funeral, Graham was getting the girls drinks and snacks, and as he was doing so, Natasha saw him crushing up pills and putting them in their drinks. She knew that he was up to something and she got everything on her mum's phone. That night, when Graham thought that the girls were asleep in bed, he got incredibly drunk and passed out on the sofa, unaware that the girls were watching his every move. As soon as he was asleep, they sneaked out of the back door and ran to the police station, which was about 10 minutes away from their house. When they got there, they told the police everything and showed them the video of their dad crushing pills up and putting them in their drinks, which thankfully they didn't drink. Excuse me. It turned out that 9-year-old Natasha had seen her dad kill her mum, but she was too scared to say anything. The police called Louisa's parents and explained everything to them, and they came and picked up the girls. The police arrested Graham and charged him with Louisa's murder and attempted murder of the girls. They kept him in custody overnight and he was up in court the next day, where he pleaded not guilty. He was put on remand until his trial date. However, when his ex-girlfriend's parents found out what he'd done, they suspected he'd killed her too, because she was also said to have committed suicide. Everyone knew that Graham used to beat her. When they told the police, they spoke to the rest of the girl's family and her friends. Graham was charged with her murder too, and the woman that Graham was having an affair with came forward and told the police that Graham said that he was going to get rid of Louisa one way or another. She told them that he told her that he'd done it and that she wouldn't be any bother anymore. When she asked him what he meant, he told her to mind her own business and then he beat her up. When she told him that she didn't want to be with him anymore, he threatened to kill her and her 2 little boys who were only 2 and 4 years old. The police charged Graham with threats to kill and assault on top of the other charges. On the first day of his trial, he pleaded not guilty to everything. He showed no remorse for his crimes at all. He just smirked and he laughed a lot too. On the second day of the trial, little Natasha, along with her sisters, was now living with Louisa's parents, gave evidence via video link. However, the whole time Graham just kept telling her to shut up and calling her a liar. She broke down in tears, but she managed to keep going despite being only 9 years old. No one could believe how brave she was. On the third day of the trial, 4 more women came forward saying that Graham had abused them too, before and after he got with Louisa. The charges just kept mounting up and mounting up, but Graham seemed to think that it was one big joke. As the trial went on, one more woman came forward and told the police that Graham had abused and tried to kill her too. She had 2 sons to him who were twins, and when they were both 4 years old, he beat them up. Their mum took them and left, but she was too scared to tell anyone what had happened. The charges were sky high and the case was reported on the news and in the newspapers. Graham was loving the fact that he was getting all the attention. The trial went on for 6 weeks, and during that time, Graham chose to constantly plead not guilty. He showed no remorse whatsoever, and he just seemed to think that it was all one big joke. However, on the last day of the trial, he was convicted and found guilty of every crime he'd committed. He was sent to jail for a total of 65 years. The girls continued to live with Louisa's parents, and on special occasions they always light a candle in memory of their mum. The end. Thanks for watching, guys.